With Congresswoman Crockett. That's a lot of words, isn't it?
Thank you for coming.
Absolutely. How are you? It's good to meet you. Yeah. I said, I need to put him on the trail. I was told he's a skilled attorney. Yes. He was able to sell me to myself. God bless you.
My name is Stacy Garrick. I'm the leader here of Indivisible Coastal Bend. And I just want to say on behalf of ICB and Corpus Christi, thank you so much for coming. We are so excited to have you.
Absolutely.
Okay, I know we're on a tight schedule, so I'm going to jump right in. Okay, so what motivated you to run in the U.S. Senate primary, and how do you think Democrats can run competitive primaries while staying unified?
Oh, that's a very good question. You had a lot in there. All right, so let's get started on why I decided to run. Clearly, I need my head examined. No, in all seriousness, it was interesting to hear how much of my history you dug into. And during this moment, I keep asking myself, what more can I do? There are some people that end up getting elected into office and they are very complacent with the fact that they have a title. But I never ran for office so that I could have a title. I ran to actually do the job. And so while it is an honor to serve in the House, and while this was a very difficult decision for me to make because I had to choose between going back to the House or running for the Senate, I was not allowed to run for both. The reality is that every single right that it is that we believe we should have access to, we've lost it because of the Senate. When you look at the Supreme Court, who was it that put those last three appointees there? It was the Senate, okay? Because they are the only ones that can confirm people to the judiciary. In addition to that, this is the same Supreme Court that took away our reproductive access. Yes. In addition to that, when we look at the fact that they decided to come after the state of Texas in this redistricting debacle, what court was it that ultimately said, yes, we know that the lower court said that these lines are racially discriminatory, but we're not going to deal with that right now. We're just going to go ahead and let them run on those lines. There's only one body that actually has oversight over the Supreme Court. That is the Senate. That is the only body. So as we look at our voting rights being rolled back, as we look at our reproductive access being rolled back, when I was in the state house and we broke quorum during my first term, we went to DC about voting rights, if you will recall. It is almost a full circle moment for me because we went there, Nancy Pelosi put the bills on the floor. She put Freedom to Vote Act, which would have kept Elon Musk from purchasing the last election. She also put the John Lewis Voting Rights Advancement Act on the floor. Guess what? They both passed out the House. Do you know what happened in the Senate? So here we are in every single thing. And I'm like, you know what? It's great for me to be there. And the people that were concerned about losing my voice, I said, I've got to do more than be a voice. I've got to actually effectuate change. We are losing everything right now. I believe this to my core because I'm in the middle of this. I am in the belly of the beast every single day. Now, that's that. Now, a lot of y'all probably are feeling me because I feel like I'm in church. I got a lot of amens over here, right? But all of y'all didn't sign up to run for Senate. So let me get to the other part of it. I can feel this way, but that doesn't necessarily mean that we can necessarily get it done. So for me, it was evaluating, can we get this done? We lack the infrastructure in this state. That is very much true. And that is why organizations like yours matter so much, all right? Because the people decided we may not have the infrastructure, but we have the power. And that is what Indivisible does, okay? So I'm looking at the infrastructure. I'm like, all right, looking a little shaky. But we looked at the numbers. So I ran my own polling. I know the Republicans tried to pretend like they put me in the race. They did not. They did not. I spent close to $50,000 running my own internal polling to determine, number one, if I was actually viable, having only represented 1/38 of the state. The answer was yes. In fact, the answer was a resounding yes, but I won't get into it because I need the Republicans to do their fighting out. So I'm gonna let them do that. The other part of this to me, because polls have consistently said, oh yeah, some Democrat is close in Texas or whatever, and then we get to election day, we like, what happened, right? So the other part of this was, if the electorate stays exactly like it's been for the last 30 years, we will get the same result. Texas is a non-voting state. Don't allow them to make you believe that Texas is so red. Greg Abbott has decided he is going to spend $90 million in Harris County alone, but we're so red. That is not true. We are non-voting and we are voter suppressed, okay? Yes. So we only have approximately 53% of those that are registered that show up. So the question is, was there a candidate that could actually motivate non-voters to vote? So polling doesn't do that. Polling only asks you, do you plan to vote? If somebody says no, they terminate the poll. So we had to test a little differently in addition to our traditional polling. What we did is we asked people, if these three people were on the ballot, would you be more inclined to vote? The resounding answer was non-voters would actually potentially come out and vote for me. We argued that basically because my name ID was already so high, we wouldn't spend a ton of money just going out to say, hey, come learn my name. We've already got that part done. We can move on to expanding the electorate. We cannot win unless we expand. And so once I got those answers, I said, now, dear Lord Jesus, I don't know about this. Because frankly, the pay doesn't change. And Lord knows, don't get into public service if you want any money. The pay doesn't change. And the death threats only go higher.
Yes, they do.
And the hate in general only goes higher. But in this moment, the real leaders are going to be the ones that do the courageous thing. And I could not sit by and years down the road look back and say what I shoulda, coulda, woulda. If I believe in this country, if I believe in the fight that I've been waging, then I could not sit here when I know the key, not to just Texas, y'all. This is bigger than Texas. Yeah. This is about our entire country. Do y'all know what it means when we flip Texas? Yeah. Flipping Texas, there is no math that maths for the Republicans. So in a state that is as diverse as we are, for all the naysayers, all right? Diversity is our strength, as Nancy Pelosi has said over and over. And the only reason they won this last election is because they divided us. And so that brings me to the last part of this question. I know you're like, girl, listen, get out of the lawyerly side because you're being long with it. I know, but I had to get this out. Sorry. We've got to remain unified.
Yes.
We cannot allow there to be distractions nor divisions. Amen. They are trying to do both. It may seem like it's coming from somebody that's on our side of the aisle and it's a bot. All right? I am here to tell you that we are not each other's enemies. We know who it is that is taking our health care away. We know who it is that is illegally decided to cut off funds to United States, like different states. Whether it's for food. I mean, they just decided in Minnesota, we're going to cut your funding for your food. They decided to go after another 4 other Democratic states. I mean, y'all, we can have our differences in the party because everybody knows we a Big Ten, okay? Fine, we Big Ten. It don't matter if you're super left, super conservative Democrat. At the end of the day, we've got to stay unified. So if you don't remember anything else I said today, you will never hear me say anything bad about my opponent. I will not. I will not. Because frankly, it's not about either one of us as individuals. It's about all of us collectively. Yeah, that's right. I want us to be as unified as possible. going into this general election, because we can do this, and what they're going to try to do again is divide us. Let's just stay united. Thank you. like, stop it. I'll go faster next, I promise, because she got a lot.
I do have a lot. Okay, so I'm going to ask, this is a personal situation to me. So my husband and I now pay about $2,000 a month for TRICARE. And because of ongoing health needs, we hit the $6,500 out-of-pocket catastrophic cap every year, which is nearly $30,000 just to access care. Without marriage, I would not have coverage. My question for you, as Senator, how do you view universal health care and health care as a human right? And what steps would you take to ensure affordable care for all Americans? And what do you think about Medicare for all?
Well, I'm a co-sponsor. I've been a co-sponsor of Medicare for all since I got to Congress.
Yeah.
So just so y'all know, we didn't sign up because we was running. You can look back. In fact, Pramila Jayapal, her leadership pack is Medicare for all. So even before I got there, we had a conversation, and she asked me where I stood, and I told her, there are those that are arguing that in a state like Texas, you're not going to be able to run and win the general. And, if you stand for things like Medicare for all, I disagree. All right. I think that if there's any moment where people are like, you know what, I will take whatever policy will get me something, it is this moment. Because we already know that in Texas, we lead in uninsured in the country with over 5 million uninsured. We also know that while we don't lead as it relates to those that need to use the marketplace, we are one of the leading states that needs to use the marketplace. And we know that those tax subsidies that ended up expiring, because anyway, y'all know what happens. And so, the only good news I had this week, because this week was a really, 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 really tough week for so many reasons in DC. It was very emotionally draining. But the good news was we finally had a bright spot. It's like first one in a long time. And that was that the discharge petition. Yes, this side of the room knows what happened. All right. I'll make sure everybody knows, but there was a 3-year tax subsidy extension for the Affordable Care Act. The Democrats led in the minority. I just want to be clear. And we even got to show some love to Marge, because I think Marge may have signed off before she left. But nevertheless, we got it to the floor, and a number of Republicans crossed over. Now the question is, what will happen on the Senate side? Who knows? And again, the Senate actually had an opportunity before the end of the year, and they failed us. So we will see what happens now that the House is going to send that over. So long story short, I don't think that people should have to choose between food and healthcare, choose between housing and healthcare. I think that it is a basic right. And so the idea that, literally when we were in the shutdown, and then I'll shut up because I know she's going to be like, they should have told me. But when we were in the shutdown, there was a woman that sent me an email, and I don't read all my emails, y'all, but I do read them when I can, right? So I got staff that reads through them. But this woman sent this email, and she said, Ms. Crockett, please hold the line. And I'm thinking to myself, now, girl, you ain't got it. I am never the problem with holding the line, ever. So I'm like, so I'm reading, and she tells me that she's a furloughed federal worker, but she's saying hold the line. She said that she has cancer, and she's saying that if these tax subsidies or overall just the healthcare costs going through the roof, because y'all got to understand, healthcare in general is we're all paying into a big pot, and then they're like kind of gambling on who has to pull down from the pot. And overall, the less that we have going into the pot. So when the subsidies expire and some people say, well, I just can't afford the health insurance, that's less people paying into the pot, which means that everybody else who's in the pot got to pay more. And one of the reasons that so there's a combination of things that have happened. The big ugly bill was actually the first trigger. They took $1 trillion out of healthcare when it comes down to Medicaid and Medicare. So when they pull that out, we've got hospitals that are going to shutter. We've got these places that we all pay into. So now when the hospital does their budget and they're normally saying, well, we can estimate we're going to get X amount of dollars from Medicaid or Medicare, it doesn't just reappear magically now that you took somebody off. And so what's happened is the cost of care has gone up and the cost of insurance has gone up. And then they decided to kick people while they were down by getting rid of the tax subsidies as it relates. So like our healthcare stuff is all jacked up. And they want to say we can't have Medicare for all because they say it's too expensive. But the reality is that if some people would just pay their fair share on their taxes, then we could have it. This is going to boil down to priorities. This is where the people have to speak up. If you can find a random $40 billion laying around to send to Argentina, then you can find the money. You can find the money for the things that you want to find it for. If you can find the money to go and invade Venezuela, all right, and they ain't even talked about, listen, now, I'm not supposed to tell y'all what happens in these briefings. So I can tell you is that I still don't know the answer to this question. So that means it didn't come out of this briefing. I still don't know how much it has cost for us to even actually go in and do what we did.
Thank you.
That stuff is expensive. I want y'all to understand that. And nobody wants to talk about them dropping bombs in Nigeria. All this is really expensive, y'all. I'm telling y'all. So I'm just like, listen, maybe if you hold on to the bombs, okay? Let me just put it this way, and then I'm gonna get on because she gonna kick me out and never invite me back. Tupac had a song. He used to say, we got money for war, but we can't feed the poor. All right. Prophetic.
Okay, so many Americans are frustrated by what they see as a lack of accountability regarding serious misconduct and corruption by a sitting president. From your perspective, what is Congress's responsibility in moments like this? And I also want to ask you if you would sign on to impeachment proceedings.
So to be clear, Al Green has filed, I don't know how many. I really don't. I don't know the number at this point. I don't know how many times he's filed the privileged motion. So just so y'all understand the different ways that an impeachment gets to the floor. An impeachment can get to the floor the exact same way as any other bill. So as I've been trying to figure out how we get through this moment, and I've been watching old videos of Barbara Jordan. So Barbara Jordan served on the Judiciary Committee, right? So just like I do. So you saw her, and basically they voted in a bipartisan way out of judiciary to go forward with impeachment. All right. And then Nixon was like, never mind. All right. So they didn't even have to, he was like, never mind. I'm good. All right. So you can get it to the floor the same way. We also have a few different types of motions that are privileged, and this is one of them. So any single member, so you don't have to go through the floor process. Any single member can just go ahead and do it and get it to the floor and get it to a vote. Every single time that Al Green has put it to the floor, I have voted for it. So I want to be clear. And these privileged motions, it's just a single person kind of doing it versus like a bill or something like that. So, when it comes to leadership, they're like, well, we should go through the process. Child, Trump ain't went through nobody's process for nothing. But, so there's all these things that happen within the caucus. I'm gonna just give y'all the real. There's concern about frontliners and what will happen with frontliners if we do it, and then there's no point in doing it because he's not gonna get convicted and all the things. Everybody has a different philosophy. It's a lot of cooks, y'all. A lot of cooks in the kitchen. And for me, it's always been about what is it that I'm okay with being on my record? And what is it that I can explain? And when history looks back, where did I stand? So I have always been recorded in history and frankly, we never get to the actual impeachment vote. I just want to be clear. We take a vote to actually get into the debate. They don't even want to debate it. So every time we voted for it, like they simplify it, but really we're just voting to go to debate. And then after debate, you then would have a vote on the actual impeachment. They don't even want to debate the issue. And I'm like, y'all are real cowards. So, I've always voted to proceed. And, do I think anything would happen in the Senate? No. I mean, I'm running to change that, right? But no, I don't think anything would happen in the Senate. But I do think it is important, even in the minority, that we signal to our base that we understand and we agree that he is the most corrupt president we have ever had. And so, it's one thing to say it, which politicians can say a lot of stuff, right? We good at that part. It's about the actions. And so for me, my philosophy on it is I am about that life. If we do it in our chamber and nothing happens over there, then you blame the Senate for it. But for me, I'm like, and we won't get it out the House either because we don't have the numbers, right? But not yet, because we are. But I do think that we need to signal. I do think that we need to communicate to people beyond just saying he's corrupt. Here, let me lay down the receipts. This is how he's corrupt. This is why he's corrupt, and that kind of stuff. But they don't even want to debate it at all. So
I think a lot of people are really scared that we're not going to have an election. So what's your take on that?
I'm running for the U.S. Senate for a reason. I mean, I'm gonna be honest. I feel like I should wear a little silver tin hat nowadays, because I feel like the things that go through my mind nowadays make me feel like I'm like, is that a conspiracy or is that real? Because I don't really know where we are right now, right? It's one of those things. So it is the fierce urgency of now. So this even goes back to kind of that initial question. As I talk to various colleagues in the House, because I am always way too honest and frank. Way too honest. I am. So long story short, I've never wanted to be a career politician in my life. I never wanted to be a politician at all, to be honest. But definitely never wanted to be a career politician. I was endorsed when I ran for the state house by term limits group, because I was like, this is not for, okay. So that was my idea. So as I was planning my exit strategy, literally had just got in and was like, all right, how we gonna get out, right? literally, right? Because I was like, I don't want to do this forever, right? And I believe that I should do everything that I can to support future generations behind me coming through. I just didn't. So my plan was actually to leave the House by going after Ted Cruz. It was point blank period. And I was talking to another colleague from Texas, and he said, are you confident that we will have elections that far down the road? And I was like, nope. And he said, I think whatever you could do down the road, you can do now. He said, I think that you need to really look at this and see what's what. And I was like, man, I ain't really trying to do that right now. And that was another thing that made me say, I feel like it's do or die. There literally are people, as y'all know, that are being killed. I'm not saying this figuratively. Even when you talk about healthcare, when the big ugly bill passed, before it passed, we have a congressional budget office. Their job is to tell us and give us estimates of what's the cost going to be, what's the income going to be as it relates to the impact of a particular bill. It's the only time in my life that I can recall ever seeing the Congressional Budget Office try to project deaths because of the bill. And they were like, we anticipate maybe 50,000 people. There is no way to project deaths, but the fact that you have a bill that actually has death sentences literally written in it by a nonpartisan group. That's where we are. So I wake up every day. You couldn't have told me that I would have woke up just 3 days into the year and we would have had Venezuela. You couldn't have told me that we would have had Minneapolis. You couldn't have told me any of these things. So I don't take anything for granted. I feel like the time is now. If we are going to save our democracy, it is on us. We can't wait on nobody to come and save us. And we got to do this now. Everybody.
Actually, we had over 300 questions submitted by the community. So I'm going to read some of those questions now. How do you plan to engage previously disengaged voters, and what can we do to help?
Okay, awesome question. One of the reasons my brain ain't really working right now is because I was out last night. So I believe in meeting people where they are, right? So y'all are the choir, all right? So I done came to church, y'all the choir. I gotta go outside and I gotta evangelize, okay? So for me, truly, I am going to combine culture, all cultures, with politics. Like, it doesn't, my philosophy is that you may not do politics, but politics will do you.
Oh, yes.
And I don't believe in the Bible thumping version of like politics where you're like, you gotta go vote. I don't believe in that. Like, I don't believe in beating people over their head, but I believe in engaging them where they are. And if you do that, then you know what's most important to them. And then you kind of bring them in that way. So when I say I was out last night, I was in the clubs, y'all. I'm being honest. I was in the clubs. I'm just saying.
Were you doing a live at 4 a.m?
No, she posted the live at 4. But that was Carmen that posted that. But no, I went to Frenchie's Chicken. Listen, because I went to school in 3rd Ward, so I needed my peach cobbler. So we made a stop into Frenchie's, but we went to a number of places. So the Deltas are in the room, my sorors. And so the thing is, another African American fraternity, they had their Founders Day yesterday, Phi Beta Sigma. And so there was like a big party. So I went there and there was all kinds of people and they put me on the mic. I went to like 4 parties, y'all. And I don't party, okay? I don't. Like, ask my staff. Like, I love to Netflix and chill. But like, I got to go to work all week, every single weekend. I'm going to be everywhere that I can. One of the reasons we can't stay long is because I've got at least like 3-4 cities left today. So we will be moving all weekend until I have to go back to DC. So we are going to be at concerts. We're going to be at games. So I went to our state championship games. They put me on the fields. We had about 200,000 people that showed up. John Cornyn decided he wanted to pull up too. Okay, I'm gonna do this and then I'm gonna get to your question because I promise you, I'm probably losing a vote right here. But so state championship games, Texas, we do football big, especially high school football. So the 3 largest divisions, each of those schools actually came from my district. So I was like, yeah, we represent Tex 30, right? So on Saturday, they were having their games and I was working until Friday. And John, he's been skipping work a little bit. Okay. But anyway, no, he really is. He really is. Because when they were trying to reopen the government, they had to hold the vote because he wasn't there. They had to wait for him to fly from Texas. Okay, anyway. So John shows up to the game. The game started on Wednesday. He did the coin toss for every game. So one of my schools had called UIL and they're like, hey, we want the Congresswoman to do our coin toss. And they were like, no, the senator is doing all of them. And I was like, say what? So he was doing all of them. So they were like, that's okay. We can introduce the Congresswoman with the game ball or whatever. So I go out when they announce like the officials. So that first game, I go out and they put me on the Jumbotron and they're like, we've got Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett. The stadium goes wild. And then, wait, I ain't done. And this school is having their parade today. So shout out to SOC, okay? Because they delivered, all right? So because they won, okay. So Corning comes on then to do the coin toss. They booed him. I was like, So the second game, much of the same for me. And then for him, silence. Third game, he goes out there and there's silence, and then he drops the coin. And that is exactly what the crowd did. So then they laughed at him. So I was like, man, he gonna call his people on me. And so no, I promise you, I told my team, they were there. I was like, he's gonna call his people. He's gonna be like, this one is a problem. And so then the very next day, the Vice President of the United States, so this all happened on Saturday. On Sunday, J.D. Vance, who had never uttered my name a day in his life, decided to write me into his speech. As well as on Sunday, Senator Kennedy out of Louisiana decided to have a few choice words for me. And then the day after that was Tim Scott. So I was like, but y'all ain't worried about me, right?
No.
Right? Yeah. We gotta post that video. I thought we found the video. Did we find the video of him dropping it? Yeah, this is gonna be a good meme. And we gotta do this.
Okay, I think we only have time for one more question, and then we're gonna do pictures.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, so the death of U.S. citizen Renee Nicole Good during an ICE operation, along with other recent ICE-related shootings in places like Portland, has deeply shaken many people. What are Democrats doing right now to strengthen accountability and oversight at ICE? And what would you do as senator to prevent tragedies like this? And can you touch on legislation with Congressman Khanna?
Yeah. So this was one of my lowlights for the week. I got into politics a lot because of what I saw as a civil rights lawyer and police brutality and filing these 1983 cases and how difficult it is to actually go after the federal government even when they kill you. So that was frustrating me. So I was like, fuck this, I need to rewrite the laws. So I'm just saying, like this, I'm like, this don't, So this has been a thing for me for a very long time. I've had to talk to the parents that have lost their children, and there is no reasonable explanation, right? And so in our judiciary, so I serve on the judiciary committee as well as oversight committee, but I serve on the immigration subcommittee, and I am the ranking member for the oversight subcommittee on judiciary. So all of this falls within my purview some way, somehow, all right? So they decided they were gonna do a random markup of some bills or whatever. And we in judiciary were like, we're not gonna pretend like it's business as usual after what just happened yesterday. We're about to derail this. We don't have very many levers we can pull, but what we can pull, we're gonna do it. So we decided we were gonna talk about Minnesota. They didn't wanna talk about it. That's not what their bills were about, but we were gonna talk about it. And we did. And I got really emotional because what a lot of people don't know is that Eric Swalwell, who used to prosecute cases, so he was a prosecutor, and he actually went right before me and he put up this picture, and I hadn't seen the picture. And the picture was of the interior of the vehicle. Now it wasn't the bloody side. I didn't see that, but it was, he focused in, and it was of the glove compartment. It was the toys. And he told the story, and he did it like a prosecutor would. And I was so emotional, and I was going after him. And I will tell you that, number one, in every single committee hearing, I am going to do my part to make sure that we can raise these issues. That's number one. Number two, I filed the Clear ID Act before Roe and I actually worked on legislation together. The Clear ID Act is basically the unmasking act. right? Because
Take your damn mask off.
yeah, because I don't think, because like they really punks. I'm just saying, like they are, right? Because like the fact that you were, even if like, so you that scared, you that scared that you got to pop off 3 times in this woman's face, and you on like you a coward, right? And I just don't feel like they would do as much of this if their faces were exposed, right? I feel like that actually would get them in line a little bit, because they kept saying, well, they don't want to be doxxed. Well, don't do stupid shit, and you don't have to worry about it. So there is something to be said about being able to do things in the shadows.
That's right.
It's the same thing, and so this gets me to some of the things that we have in the legislation with Rokana, requiring that everybody has body cam, right? Because we always see a decrease in these types of situations when people know that people are watching, which is why the masks are actually so dangerous for us in the general public. All right, so I filed legislation, but again, I'm terrible at politicking because I don't know how to lie well enough. The numbers ain't there for me to get anything done. All I can do is say, I filed this, but I don't have the numbers. So they're going to sit there. Those bills are not going to move because the Republicans do not have the courage to just do right by the people that elected them. And that is what I was trying to get them to do, was have a little bit of humanity in this moment. And it seems like even in this moment, they wanted to do everything that they could to make up excuses and follow behind the laws of the president and Kristi Noem. So the other part is that now we may be able to do something about Kristi. Because listen, y'all know the Republicans are full of misogynists, okay? So like, I mean, if they feel like they need to throw her under the bus, I think her and Pam are ripe for the pushing. So I mean, I just think that, I think that those would be the two that they would potentially be like, oh, well, Pam, So, we may be able to get something, but the reality is that whoever we get, it's not going to get better. It's not going to get better until we have better people in place. And again, the vast majority of these people never should have made it through confirmation.
That's right. That's right.
And who is it that confirms them? I mean, literally every problem that I'm like pissed off about right now, I can tie it back to. Yeah.
Project 2025.
Yeah.
Okay, I think we're going to try to get some pictures with you.
It went by so
It
fast.
did go by so fast.